And then she's like, look, Liam's condition is not looking good. We've been giving him antibiotics for this long, but he's not responding. And his chances of survival are very slim.
So, Lele, thank you very much for taking time out to share your story. I like saying, I feel like, sharing one story is the greatest act of service to humanity, because you don't owe anybody your story. Let's just start there.
Yeah, true.
You don't owe anybody your story.
Nobody.
So for you to decide, I would like to share this, because I want, first of all, to allow somebody out there to know they're not alone, because this is something that happens to a lot of people. I want to create awareness, whatever the case may be, or I want to heal myself. And you find that you're healing other people in the process, I feel is really just an act of service to humanity. And thank you for that. And thank you for doing it here with Gaona Lab Conversations, right? The story is a story of loss, of overcoming loss, of dealing with loss and healing from loss. And of course, we're just about to find out how that unfolded for you.
Mm-hmm.
You lost your child earlier this year. I can't believe it's just earlier this year.
It's been, 10 months now?
Imagine.
Yeah, it's 10 months.
Are you okay?
Dude, it's hard.
It's
hard. It's really hard because in a month he was going to be turning a year. Hence,
on the 17th of December.
So it's a very painful journey, right? And more painful now when you're doing it alone without a partner, but you're with friends and with family. And I think had they not been there, I don't think I would have managed.
So let's take it a little way back in time before we get to this. Of course, I completely understand that it's not easy. It cannot be easy. But prior to even falling pregnant, had you always wanted to have kids? What was that like for you growing up? What was the dream like as far as kids were concerned?
I love babies. I mean, when my sisters would fall pregnant, I'll be like, yo, this is my baby. And my nephews are my babies, But, as you grow older, you want something of your own, right? And obviously you're trying and and then last year, I fell pregnant. I found out I was pregnant on Mother's Day, actually. Got so excited. I told my partner, look, we're pregnant. And he was excited as well. And, I'm like, yeah, this is it. It's 2022, year of double blessings. We're going on this, And unfortunately, 2 weeks after, I had a miscarriage. I can't recall right now what the doctors had said was wrong, but it was really painful. And then we went on, fine, we did counseling and all the sorts. Jiggy. Months later, something is not coming that's supposed to be coming. And then you're like, let me check. And I found out I'm pregnant. I was so ecstatic. I mean, here's my Rambo baby. Here's the baby I've always wanted. So we're doing this. I mean, we both agreed, no, we're going to have this baby, right? We went for checkups. Everything was good. And at my age, I actually thought I was going to have complications, But fortunately, by God's will,
and what age was that?
I'm 33, right? And everything was just on point. Okay.
Can I, and I'm sorry for chipping in like that, but I think something that's critical that I'm trying to get to is considering that you had lost a baby, you had a miscarriage before. How was this second pregnancy for you? Are you able to just let go of the fact that, okay, you've had a miscarriage before? Are you now in fear? What happens when you hit that 2-week mark? Or was it one of those where, by the grace of God, you were okay, ecstatic, like you're saying, and there's no fear of anything really?
I remember 2 weeks before I went for my first checkup. I was at home and then I started bleeding. I literally screamed out and
Can you imagine?
Because the first miscarriage, that's how it happened. I screamed and then I called him like, dude, I'm bleeding. I don't know what's going on. And I was literally shaking. And on this day, it was on the 4th of September. And on the 4th, on the 3rd, I'd lost my dad, in 2014. So I was like, this cannot be happening on this day. This date is just cursed. This cannot be happening, Rushed to the hospital, Haritsa and Nakwa. no, it's not. Don't stress. The baby is
This is just
fine.
normal.
It's just normal.
Yeah.
I had a fibroid, right? So it seems like that was what's making me bleed. So the doctor's like, no, Ibile, he's bouncing up. I've never felt so much happiness and peace, especially when I saw that ultrasound and he's there. And I'm like, oh, did I actually do that? Did I actually make that? You know? And weeks went on, months went on. My timing was growing. I'll take videos, you know? Would go for checkups, which, but you know, it was scary, but again, like really fun. You know?
What was scary about the checkups in particular?
Won't I find something
What am I
wrong?
gonna find?
You know, and you know, you pray. I'm a very prayerful person. Day in, day out. A very healthy baby. Please take me. I want this journey to just end when I
protect my baby.
Any complications, you know? And we went on for checkups, everything. The cravings were mad. I couldn't eat anything except the tapoli.
Oh, wow.
So that's what happened, you know? Unfortunately, obviously, the issue, you know? On the 19th of November, somebody decided to play God with my life, right? He got physical with me, literally took me, and you know when you're like, what's I'm throwing me against the chair, hitting me against the wall. And I was wearing a dress. He literally I was bruised up on my arms. And then hurling all sorts of insults. And it was really painful. I tried to run away and try to report. He yanked me out of the car. And this happened at my mother's house. Just by the road, a gentleman saw this happening. He's like, my boobs were exposed. He was asking, what is going on? And he asked, how come because my tummy was literally that big. And, you know, when a person wants to put blame on something that he knows very well, and then I was rushed. I went to the police station, and I'd say, this is something saying our law enforcement needs to really take heed of. I got there, I tried to narrate my story, and we're told, Yang lapeng, le go bua. Ke bua yang, I'm bruised up. I'm like this, re bua eng, you know? And that's when I got into distress. I was monitored, my BP was high. Obviously, family is asking, what's going on? BP. And because you're saying, I want to protect what's here, I know how you guys are going to act. I'm not going to say anything. Because one, it's going to be fights after fights, and I don't want that. I don't want to be in the middle of a lot of things, right? I kept quiet. Obviously, apologies came. Weeks prior to that, I get like in pain. Look, I'm a first-time mom. You
don't know whether pain is normal
or not. There was a point I even was sitting down, Googling, get Braxton Hicks, but I'm not supposed to be having Braxton Hicks at this point, you know?
And what kind of pains are you experiencing?
It's like cramps.
Okay.
Like, and then, and then especially on my abdomen. And I was like, but I don't understand. You know? And you just don't understand what's going on. And then it will just do for like 2 minutes a AM. I keep on doing this. 2 minutes a AM. And then on the 16th of December, and mind you, this is 14 days after my birthday, I'm doing preps for my baby shower, which was supposed to be on the 17th of December. I go do my hair, I do my nails, go for my dress checkup and everything, right? And this pain is intense. Because I remember even when I was doing my hair, I was very uncomfortable for something that could take 2 hours, 4 hours, because I kept on being uncomfortable, you know? And then I tell him, this pain is, let me just wait it out. And then it got a bit too much, and then I was rushed to the hospital. Got to the hospital, I was put on paracetamol. Those pains, I felt like I was dying.
So when you got to the hospital, did they even scan to see what could be wrong? Or is it just one of those where they're like, okay, no pain is normal, it's paracetamol?
No, I waited on, I get it for the pain. I get because obviously they need to scan to see what is going on.
Of course, yeah.
And then the pain won't stop. The paracetamol is wearing out. I'm on morphine. And then I went for the scan. That lady took about 20 minutes. And then I get what's wrong? Because I'm like, no, the baby is playing, you know? And then she's like, no, we'll wait for the doctor. And I could sense, you know? And then when we got to the room, the doctor was like, look, unfortunately, you're not going to do your baby shower. I'm like, what are you talking about? My baby shower is tomorrow. People are coming in from SA all over for this. Why are you saying I'm not? Unfortunately, you're going to have an emergency C-section. I'm like, why? What's wrong? She's like, you've got a placenta abruption and it's at 6 centimeters. 6 centimeters.
Do you know what that even means, though? Like in that moment, you're having a placenta abruption and it's at 6 centimeters. Yeah.
I'm like, can you please speak English? What do you mean? And then she goes into the science, it's very, layman terms. Your placenta is detached from your uterus. And it's at 6 centimeters. It's a lot. And if we don't get this baby out, it's going to be something else. Because one, I wasn't bleeding. What I had was called a concealed abruption. Because when you have an abruption, you're supposed to bleed out. But I was bleeding internally. And she asked me, have you been doing anything that is hectic? I'm like, no. Have you ever had any bodily trauma? I'm like, He's there. I'm like, you know? But right now, we don't have time to be doing the blame game. Yeah. Let's see what we need to do, right? I was taken. And then,
did you then say to the doctor, yes, something happened?
Yes, I did.
Did you hold back?
I did say to her, yes, something happened. But I didn't want her to get into detail because next time I did the weekend forward. My issue was I want to get this baby out. You know?
Yeah.
If you're saying that my placenta is detached, and obviously I know it's going through that placenta to the baby. So if it's detached at 6 centimeters, clearly something is not, he's not getting anything, right?
Yeah.
In the morning, early morning of 17th December, my son was born. I named him Liam Kagiso Mwezi, right?
Liam Kagiso Mwezi.
Yeah.
And at how many weeks is this?
He was born in 28 weeks. He came in at 1.070 kg, which means he was underweight. From what I'm hearing was when they took him out, he cried. Obviously, baby had Walila, right? But unfortunately, my son abadi dimala. They
resuscitated, yes, yeah.
And then, fortunately, abalila, and then he was rushed into the incubator. It was really a lot was going on. I was pregnant. I'm a mother.
Just so suddenly,
you know?
Yeah.
Because my mind was not prepared to be a mother in December. My mind was prepared to be a mother in March. And a lot of things were going through my head. What am I going to do? I don't even know, you know?
You're not prepared.
I'm not prepared.
As far as you're concerned, you still got a bit of time to get things ready. Baby shower, you know? Yeah.
And you know how it is. Look, because I was like, no, I still have months on.
Yeah.
And like I'm saying, I come from a family that is prayerful. I come from a family that's very supportive. And my mom, my sisters, my cousins, gosh, I don't know where I would be had they not been for them on that day. Baby was in hospital 26 days. Those were the
And
babes.
Where are you in these 26 days? Are you also in hospital? How long did you spend in hospital? And are you okay physically? You know, so perhaps, I think I just want to also know just how mommy is doing in this period. How are you doing mentally as well? You know what I mean? Like, is it one of those where you're hopeful, you're positive, baby's here, I'm a mother, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I'll tell you this, after I had my C-section, I stayed in hospital for 2 days. I got discharged on the 19th of December. I had to leave my baby. While people are leaving the hospital with their kids with a scar across me, and I had to go to the hospital every day, 2 times a day, to give milk and you're lactating. But you have to go there and see him tied to all these tubes and being administered medication, and you're like, you know? But with time, I was like, okay, this is an experience, you know? Emotionally, I was scared. I was scared, Khan. I was really scared.
Scared of what in that moment?
Am I going to be a good mom?
Okay.
What's going to happen to my baby? I come from a family where, the premature babies were born at 7 months, and wow, give us idea and they're very bright kids. And with that, I think that's what helped, because my cousins were like, look, get one at this much. Just be hopeful. You know, they were reaffirming me, you know. Even when I felt I cannot do this, they did, you know. And it, like I'm saying, it was really confusing. It was a very confusing time, because like I'm saying, imagine. I was pregnant and now a baby is here and I'm expected to be a mother. I'm not ready, you know. I remember Ibile, after giving birth, you know, you're supposed to go see the baby. It took me a while. The pediatrician had to come, ma, I don't want to no, I can't, you know, because it was just a lot. I couldn't get like a whole that bone, you know. But with time, my OBG was like, look, I know and understand where you're coming from, but just go see him, you know. And then I decided to go see him before I got out of the hospital, right? And the minute I saw that child, yes, he was in all those tubes. You know, I've never felt that relief, that love, those feelings. But I cannot explain it. I was at peace. Hence his name, Tahiso, you know? And every day, I always looked forward to it. I'll be the first one up. You know, Mama, I want to, because I couldn't drive myself. So always I had to be, you know, the nights were painful because I was so used to him being in here, but he's in the hospital. I thought I was going to have PND because there was a point I thought I was going crazy, you know. I wanted my child, but higher. So I used to have some teddy that I'd sleep with. Aww. Just to, you know,
have that sense of closeness,
you know, and I'd sing to it, and then every time I go to him, but things started changing. You know, every other day it's come and do a blood donation. We need to do this. This is what's going on, and I kept on asking. To the point, his stomach and I don't understand. No, he's not passing out stool properly. We're going to do this for him. Don't worry, he's going to be fine. The first week of January, he started discoloring, you know, and they were like, no, he just needs a blood transplant. Hannah, I don't understand. My arm was already tired from all the needles, you know, but I had to do it for my son, you know. And I kept on praying and praying and praying and praying. I remember there was a time I went off the ventilators and he was breathing on his own, but they had to put him back because his lungs were not giving, you know. And unfortunately, on the 12th of January, dad. And there's something. 2 days prior to that, I had a dream. Antar mama, don't worry, I'm okay. You know, you know, and I was like, but I couldn't really understand what it was about, you know. And then when we got there, I asked the doctor, how is he, you know? And she was like, no, he's a fighter. You know how they're always positive.
Yeah, of course.
But there was something about the nurse that I couldn't pick. And you know that look. And we went home, and then the doctor needs to see you. In other words, the doctor needs to see you.
You kind of knew what time it was.
No bonus situation, you know something is not right. And then she's like, look, Liam's condition is not looking good. We've been giving him antibiotics for this long, but he's not responding. And his chances of survival are very slim. But in those words, I literally screamed. They were sleeping because I know what those words mean, you know? And then I'm like, no, but we're talking about woman of faith. My son is going to be okay. I went home. I told my mom, this is what they're saying. We sat down. We prayed. I prayed. I asked God, if I did anything wrong, please take me. Don't take my son.
Whew, sorry about that. I don't
asked.
even know what to say to you right now.
And then we called back. The doctor wants to see you. The machines, they were not beeping the way they were, right? We went back. And batla ko ba? Doctors will batla ko ba? Spent almost 30 minutes. And then she came and she's like, unfortunately, Nana hits. I've never felt so much pain. I've lost a friend, I've lost a dad, I've lost a sibling. Then pain, it's unbearable. I've had a miscarriage, yes, there was pain. But that one, I was like, nearly 10 weeks. It wasn't, but this, I felt him inside me.
Yeah. He moved.
You
bonded with him. Yeah.
Ke direct certificate. Certificate. Already, it's his death certificate,
Yeah.
What the doctors had said that he had a blood infection that got septic. So, unfortunately, Liam passed away on the 12th of January. And now, this is a roller coaster of emotions. Now you are dealing with a lot of questions. If you get done this, you could have done that, We buried him at the 13th of January.
This is the following day.
The following day. So it was a very painful beginning of the year. I'm on maternity leave. Maternity leave for one. I've got a scar, a C-section for one. I've got trauma, a lot of things. God, it was just an event of a lot of things, We are pregnant in November, you get abused. For the first few months of it, his dad was there, right? My family was there. But unfortunately, because of everything that has gone in my life, I felt I really didn't need this particular person in my life. So, because he wasn't really helping to it, because a part of me said, had he not hit me, I wouldn't have had this abruption. And in as much as you'd want to sit here and say, no, I was perfectly fine, And I started self-blaming. Maybe I have gone to the hospital. Maybe had I not said this, maybe had I done that. It was a lot. There were times where and then again, society is not that friendly with some things. You were seen as a bad omen, usififi.
So there's that element to it as well.
Because you are told you can't be around kids because Gaona said, I remember one particular time, a gentleman, he's a family friend, actually came over and he was like, Kana, had you not posted about your pregnancy? Dimpo didn't even know. Your sister didn't even know I was pregnant up until I said I'm pregnant. I did not. It was home, work, home. That's it. Doctor, unless I go to the shops to do something, that was it. And then a person comes to your house less than 3 days after burying your son and says,
they say, hadn't you posted? Oh my goodness. How unkind can society be, man?
And it's painful because I was pregnant with a friend and we were both due in March. She wanted to be there, but I was like, dude, me Leia Swana, And then comes Hansu Dule. I could obviously buy Dule. Okay, one. And you're there looking at the person like, And sometimes I couldn't answer, you know.
Of course.
And seeing babies as well was a trigger. I think ever since Liam's passing, ke gone ke nnang- ke kgona go nna le ngwana o monyenyane without crying, you know. First, I would literally cry. And like I'm saying, I self-blamed myself. I blamed the other person. But for me, I felt I'm delaying my healing process, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not okay. There are days where it's hard. I can't sit alone. You know, I blame God. Why me? But then again, why not me?
You know what I mean? Can I really don't want to make this, like you're saying, we don't want to make it a blame game, right? I don't want to make this about anybody but you. But the only thing I'm wondering right now is, did your partner ever at any point kind of feel like, you know, he could have done better? You know what I mean? Like, is it one of those where he also, perhaps, of course, you had every right to go, because it's part of your grieving, right? To blame, you know what I mean? To, you know, bargain and all of that. But where was he in all of this? How was he feeling about, you know, the fact that y'all had that encounter and it led to what eventually transpired, which was now you having the baby, you know, Premi. How was that?
I think for me, but the way the way he was very sad and had a bit of guilty conscience, you know. But because some people are not so vocal,
of course,
he wouldn't
especially men, you know. Yeah.
And he was, during the whole time, no, but not, man, this guy is at it, you know. He's but you know, not really outright and say it, because obviously one person wouldn't want to say, one take blame about if it wasn't for me.
Of course, it's hard.
Man, it's very hard.
Yeah.
And I even said to the family, please don't make him feel that way, you know, because right now he's dealing with his own issues. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So let him be. I'm not God to punish. He will do what he needs to do at his own time. He will do whatever he needs to do, you know? And it's painful, like I'm saying to you. I'm now dealing with it, the loss afterwards, because I couldn't have that with him because of what transpired between us, you know? And I'm dealing with bills as well.
That's another thing. I think we overlook, right? It's especially from the outside. And this is what you're talking about, society being so unkind. It's like we aren't able to empathize. And, you know, of course, also maybe because we don't understand really what happened, what transpired. You know what I mean? Like the bills, like you're saying, what the hospital statement, what baby being in NICU for a whole month means. You know what I mean? And so there is that.
It's money. It was money. Just him being in the incubator 26 days, ne? Bill went up to 600,000. Okay? Medical aid footed what they footed. The remainder I have to foot, and I'm talking hundreds, you know what I mean? And when you're doing it alone, but the person you partook in making this baby is just there, not saying, like you to say, oh, let me do this. It's painful, you know? And you, like I'm saying, you're so that you can deal with these situations, you know? And like I'm saying, society sometimes, how it's not that friendly, you know? Because I remember even so people would be like, no, king aside rapa, making us a nikontleko, alo wanik, mo. And I was
because
like,
of your sifi,
you know? And I remember a relative saying, but if she's going to get more depressed. Let her mingle with others, while we're preparing, you know? And it really helped. Like I'm saying, my family really went overboard with it. They've helped a lot, and they're still helping Hanana. There are days where I feel less of a woman. I couldn't carry a baby full term. There are times where I felt, you know what I mean? And those words and those thoughts are very painful, you know? I couldn't carry one a full term lantla, right? And then and then you know? And I never really understood. Obviously, you'd have relations where people have lost kids and you'd never really get to understand. And then when you're put in that situation, now you understand some things they did, you know? And it's been a very painful journey. God, I don't know how many times I've cried, I've cussed, but then I recall one particular cousin saying to me, "Modimo o lerato." I never really understood what she meant. But now looking back, I now understand God does things to show you some things, you know? And yes, I may have lost Liam. For all you know, Gaona, he probably would have had problems later on in life that would have put me in you know, maybe he saved him and said, to off-burden you of that, you know? And it's a lot.
Oh, he tletse go kae ngwana o boloketse go kae
Mo lapeng. Ka Setswana, I dira ke setoka kana Setswana, but ngwana o itlhela mo teng ga lapeng, so he tletse mo lapeng.
And how has that journey been now? You know, knowing gore o hitletse hale, is there some kind of ritual that you have wa motlola? You know, literally taking it back from, you know, way back to ha ile gona bolokiwang to now. You know, are you able to detach? E be nela gore okay, it happened, but like it's not something that I need to be trying to connect with every day. Or, you know, is it as a mom, you know, as a mother, you know, is there some kind of ritual, like I'm saying? Like, where are you where that is concerned?
Okay, I'll tell you this. The first few weeks, you know, and nere ga ke dula even I get to go through and make sure I get home before it's dark because I get to go when I get tsana bosigo a seyo, you know. The first few weeks my mom would open the door, you know, that type of thing. It took me a while gore ke like outside molapeng, like when I did that, couldn't always feel I can't do that. But my mom was like, you need to start living. He passed. I don't think he wants you to put yourself through that, you know. And the first time I became, so I went on a holiday. The whole time, you know, and we've got flowers there around where he is, and I'm like, you know, it took me a while, you know, and after that, I became like, you know, but with time, I began to get okay. It's like, it's part of the furniture. It's okay, you know. But once in a while, when you're not feeling okay, I'll just sit there and just keep quiet. Just get
And do you talk to him, you know, still, or, you know, like I'm saying, do you ever reach a point where you are able to detach? Is that even possible? You know what I mean? Because, and I'm saying this because, you know, you'll hear people can be so insensitive, like I'm saying, but it's like, move on. You know what I mean? Almost like, replace
like
thank you very much. You know what I mean? So navigating that, you know, does he continue to be a real person who existed, who I need to continue being in touch with, or are you able to let go, if at all that's possible? Do you get what I'm saying?
I remember somebody saying, he was just there for 26 days.
Okay.
He was just there for 26 days. I held, you know, and like you're saying, yes, there's that, I can't, you know. Yes, I want to have a kid, but the first question that comes to my mind, I may want what happened to me happen again, you know. And
so you almost don't even trust your body
anymore. You know. And like you're saying, it's hard to detach. It's really hard. I don't know, maybe in a year or two, I will. I don't know, you know. But for now, it's very hard. His birthday is coming up, like I'm saying. And I was saying to my mom, I want to have a little cake, balloons in remembrance of him. And then my mom was like, do what makes you feel better, you know?
Yeah.
And it's, when I say that, some people feel, why are you celebrating 26 days, you know? You know?
And I think perhaps like, because even me asking you about detaching, like that is insensitive, because why should you even detach? You know what I mean? To, from somebody you carried, somebody you fell in love with, you felt, you met, you know what I mean? You interacted with, like named. That. You named. You get what I'm saying?
Well, so, not for Anissa per se, but,
either way, do you get what I'm saying? And I think that, unfortunately, is the reality on the ground. It's almost like, do you get what I'm saying? So I don't know, what would you like to say to the society, to our audience now? Because I think another thing is, I always also just want to extend a little bit of grace and say people are not doing better because they don't know any better, right? People are doing, this is literally my reality. This is all I know. And sometimes because I haven't experienced it, 26 days. You get what I'm saying? So what would you want to say to society where that is concerned?
I think, well, not I think, but one thing that society needs to understand, my emotions are valid.
Yeah.
It's okay for me to feel the way I need to feel at that particular time. Don't dictate to me what I'm supposed to feel. Yeah. You can't tell me you can't say that,
How 6 months later,
being pregnant is a journey on its own. The morning sickness, the checkups, the trauma that comes with it.
Your body changes.
You don't feel pretty anymore. You get stretch marks, your boobs are sagging. And society just needs to be more kind.
Yeah.
And more sensitive about such issues. You can't be telling me,
because something, and I think it's something that we overlook, and perhaps because this is not spoken about enough. The cultural, traditional things that come with loss. And look at the fact that, here you are saying at a point where you're already feeling so heavy, there's just so much happening. Then why isolate not even from a place of, you get what I'm saying? So how are you able to navigate that? How are you able to even process that? Okay, but here I am being made to feel even more isolated. Do you get what I'm saying? At a point where I'm going through so much.
I need people. Yeah.
I really just want us to unpack that a little bit.
I think for me is, like I'm saying, I come from a family that is because even afterwards, basically.
Of course, yeah.
But when Liam passed, I can't anymore. At least I can't And like you're saying, Setswana needs to go, do away with that. Because it's not like I could I'm going to pass it on to somebody. And for somebody to have said that to me, I said to the person, dude, you're being insensitive, But because and it's painful because a particular person once said this, and amidst everything else, when I stood up for myself against the bullying, and everything else, one of those words, and this was barely 2 months after my son was buried. And I said, yeah, ne. Yeah, ne.
How did that leave you feeling?
I was hurt, but then again I say, I guess it's a heart. I didn't do it by choice. I had a child. He was there. He passed away.
That's it.
That's it. Because I won't sit here and validate somebody's words because they want to better themselves and they throwing foul words to me. No. People say the most hurtful things one person once said to me, I didn't thought that no brain, I didn't we hit that something like that. And I'm like, dude, it's not like and a man.
Yeah.
And it hurts when it comes from a man and then a woman validating that, you know?
Yeah.
And because imagine that you know, I forgot the word.
That's it. Yeah.
It's painful.
Yeah.
And it's been a roller coaster of emotions the past month. There was a point I thought I was going to go crazy. I actually thought I was going to go crazy. But I take comfort in saying, even through everything, God will. He knows why he did what he did. I don't know why. Maybe he had a bigger picture. Maybe he's taken that child and he's going to give me twins or even quadruplets, you know? That's it. I tend to throw positive words to the universe because when you throw positivity, it'll come back to you, you know?
Yeah. So you try to not dwell on the, you know, the negativity, especially that's being hurled, you know, from all around, you know what I mean? Considering that you're already dealing with so much internally,
you know? Because, I mean, you are dealing with the loss. From November up until February, March, I was pregnant. I was a mom to a preemie baby. I was burying my child. I was dealing with the emotions, the trauma in it, and I've never been given a chance. And it's just too much for a person to take.
Let's talk about, you know, what you are consciously doing to heal. Is there anything that, of course, you just spoke about, you know, trying to be positive and throwing positivity, you know, into the universe. But are you, you know, people talk about therapy. You know what I mean? People talk about, you know, having certain practices and like where you intentionally do a particular thing because this is for my healing, right? Because I'm aware of the fact that this has had an, you know, impact on my mental health, right? So are you doing anything consciously, you know, to try and deal with you know, all this heaviness?
I am very vocal about my journey. I think talking about it heals. I do therapy. And of late, I've tried to sit down and say, if you are going through this, come,
that's it.
You know,
that's it.
Engaging with people that have somehow gone through the same thing and talk about how we're doing and what's going on. You know, it's not easy, but
I was going to ask you about that. Like, how is it interacting with other people who've been through what you've been through? You know what I mean? Do you find that it makes it, you know, a less isolated experience? Does it make it even harder now to see the pain around you, to see other people who are going through the exact same thing?
It helps. It helps a lot because a person will tell you, no, Kana, this is what happened in my case with my child. And then you see your emotions are there, that you know, it helps in the sense that you're not alone. And as somebody can relate to what I've been through, you know. And I remember shortly, like a month, like, is it May? Sorry, it was May, June. There was a sort of like a summit nyana or gathering regarding bereaved parents, you know? And I got to sit around people that are actually going through the same thing I'm going through. And I say, wow, you know, this is what's actually happening. Something has to happen to you first for you to understand, you know? And it's really helped. Like, it's really helped. I think so because you're not allowed to talk about it, you know? Once you talk about it, in now, I can't think you you know? And
why else and it just makes it even heavier. You know, it makes the load even heavier. You have to deal with it in your isolated little space. Also, go na le kganya ditlhong, o ka re o tsenya family matlo, o tsenya partner matlo, you know, like it's just we tsenya matlo a batho. So like it's like, guys, okay, so you know, this is heavy enough just keeping it inside. You know what I mean? So I can only imagine. Yeah.
So it's I think we need to be more vocal about such things because, like I'm saying, I didn't know talking about my story would help somebody. I mean, I've had people say, look, this is what happened to me. People I didn't even know or never thought actually went through this. And they were like, your story, I gained strength from you talking about it.
That's it. Because I can't talk about my experience. Yeah.
You know, because kana family some other girl was saying kana batsadi had to put her annamotsetsi for ngwana o siyo. You know? And I say I'm very fortunate my family didn't have to put me through that.
Yeah.
Yes, no about doing anything which I didn't want to take lying down. But in a nutshell, they've actually done a great job when helping me through my journey. And yeah.
So something that you also mentioned that I found very interesting, and I think, perhaps it's not spoken about enough, yet again, because of perhaps the guilt that comes with it. I get it. Choosing yourself and, that self-preservation as you're going through this kind of grief. You spoke about to be around ngwana. I can imagine to be around ngwana, but there are people around you having babies or who have babies. I really want to understand how you were able to navigate that. The baby shower, do you get what I'm saying? Well, I do a baby shower. Are you able to say, you know what, for my peace and healing, I'm going to sit this one out, without feeling that sense of guilt.
Yeah, being shady.
Thank you.
Like you say, I chose myself, right?
Yeah.
And I was very vocal. I didn't want to make the other person uncomfortable. I was very vocal. Dude, I cannot attend your baby shower since
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had people be, I think it's a bit insensitive for me to invite you to my baby shower or come to you, Gamba, because you're probably going to feel a certain way. I'm like, don't be, unless I'm saying to you, sadly, this is how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
No, because I chose to be very vulnerable. I chose to let the emotions go on because I'm a person who's going to express my emotions. I know it's strong now, but after this, I said, I'm not gonna pretend that I'm okay when I'm not okay.
Yeah.
I remember this one time I was walking Moshopong and some kid, whatever. But I sort of understood how she was feeling, but then again, but I can't do this. I need to go head to head with my feelings, cry. There are times when I'm even at work and something comes up or somebody says something and then it triggers what I know when I was pregnant, this is what happened. Or a song that comes up, when I was pregnant, Liam used to kick a bit when the song came up,
Yeah.
It took me a very long time to actually go to some restaurants because of that,
Of course, yeah.
I didn't hang around a lot of people because they triggered that emotion, and it's got to choose you. Don't try to say society, this kind of
There's something, I remember I asked Frost this, it's a conversation, it's something that came up in our conversation, and you just brought it up, the fact that you were saying to people, don't, assume anything. I'm here, I'm vulnerable. So I want you to get us into that. Perhaps it may be unique to you because somebody else may feel not. But how would you say people should support somebody going through what you're going through? What is the expectation? Should people stay away? Should people talk about it? Because we're just stepping on eggshells around you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know the feeling. I've had my own, baggage that I was dealing with. And sometimes I've just sit and say, it's okay for you to bring it up. It's okay, guys. You know what I mean? So how was that for you? Do you want people bring it up? Do you want people asking you if you're okay? Or would you rather people just, life goes on as if nothing happened? What works?
For me is talk about it because I don't like uncomfortability,
Yeah.
And I'm very vocal. Like I'm saying, I'm very vocal about it. So don't walk around eggshells,
Yeah.
Be good because like to the point because people are. And then in Nankari, you know what I mean? It's a bad luck. Don't make them feel like that.
Yeah. It's already isolating enough.
Where you're like, and everything. Don't do that. Just sit down and talk. If a person is uncomfortable, they'll easily say, look, I don't feel like talking about it. Like I do. If I'm not in the mood to talk about it, I'm very vocal. Look, I'm not in the right space to talk about this. So can you please give me my space? You know? And it's something saying, people need to learn. Space is a more, you know what I mean? And if we're going through this, you're okay. It's okay to be vulnerable and it's okay not to be okay, you know? And God will do something.
Yeah,
He will.
Speaking of God, I want us to talk about, that element. Of course, it's come up, various times, numerous times in our conversation, how just your relationship with God was affected by this, how, you went through phases saying, or you were blaming God and saying, why me? How dare you do this to me? Relaying for me to deserve this, right? How has that journey been? Are you finding that your relationship with God is somehow, being mended? Is it getting any better? Are you still in a place where you are resentful? How is that? How is that?
The first few months, I was angry. I got how you know what I mean? When I got hit, when I gave birth, when I was being bullied and said all these hurtful things, And then I later said, but then he's the same God that gave me that baby.
Yeah.
So he probably has a reason why he took him. So why not sit down and lean to him and say, God, get like I'm powerless. I'm hurt. I'm broken. I think this year was the most I've been broken. Please help me. Give me the strength. And with time, I've actually learned to lean more to God than anything else, because some things you need spiritual relationship sharp, because if you're not there, it's not gonna work, because had I not had that, mind you, when I began, I said I prayed twice. Every other hour, Mudimu, I'm thankful for this gift. Please protect it. Even I check up when every night I made sure I prayed, I did everything right, because I truly needed him. And then he was there. He gave me that that pregnancy up until. So why should I now not lean to him? So yeah.
And your message to other, mothers who've experienced a similar loss, who are dealing with that isolation, of course, we're talking about the fact that you find that then you just have to, you can't even share it with anybody because there's just so much, to it, right?
Barricades around the whole thing.
Exactly. So
I think, my message to them is, you're not alone, and it's not, don't even blame yourself. You're not less of a woman. Don't even think for a minute, you're not worth it. You know what I mean? Just, hey, it's not an easy journey, like I'm saying, but things will be okay.
Yeah.
It's hard now, but it's going to be fine. Yeah.
And something else that you brought up earlier, and I know this is a conversation, that is really happening even on social media itself. You mentioned, that somebody was insensitive enough to say to you, hadn't you posted about it, right? Where are you where that is concerned? And of course, we're talking about you having dealt with self-blame.
Yeah.
Was that ever a thing for you? Did you ever for a minute think, maybe had I kept it private? Maybe had I taken it to social media? Yeah.
I regret not posting. Because I'm saying, I have pictures, but I don't have pictures. I don't have memories.
You wish you had been in the moment more.
And just my pregnancy, I was, like I'm saying, you know what I mean? But I felt the pregnancy, like I do on so it's very painful. You know what I mean? So no.
And in retrospect, you're like, I wish I'd
done
been in the moment.
I should have literally been in people's eyes. I'm pregnant, I'm proud, And you're like, yes, you're saying that I didn't post, but I didn't post. And I posted,
That's the thing. That's the thing. Well, Lele, thank you very much for, for taking this time to just have this conversation, really, to be vulnerable with us. Because like I mentioned at the beginning, you don't owe anybody your story. You don't owe anybody your pain, but, you doing it is something that, of course, I appreciate that is an act of service to humanity. And for sure, you will find other people who've been through similar experiences who'll be touched by your story and who'll perhaps find healing through your healing. So thank you very much for doing this. And, I wish you all the best. And, I can't help but because I'm like, it's still so soon, it's just happened, beginning of the year. But this is your journey and, do with it what you want to do with it. You know what I mean? It's not my place to say, come on, 3 years again. We're taking it back to exactly judgment. You know what I mean? So,
because like you're saying before that, we heal differently.
That's it.
And I don't like uncomfortability. So that's why I want to deal with it and then move on.
Be in the moment, deal with it, talk about it, and then sit in it.
Brew in it,
Exactly.
But thank you so much for having me. I hope my story will help somebody and they're not alone. If you want to talk, you want to do, do it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mama. And there you have it, Gaona Live Conversations. Thank you very much for tuning in and do share, comment, share your thoughts, your experience, or what you've seen, what you think of. Especially, we also spoke about the cultural element, the traditional aspect of things. What is your take? And of course, please like and subscribe to the channel. Till we meet again next time. Goodbye.